This is Business Inspires, a monthly podcast of the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership. To run a successful business, you need resources, valuable connections, and community recognition. Business Inspires will provide you with the tools, resources, and examples to inspire you to create the business you're envisioning. Here's Michelle Wilson, Executive Director of the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership.
Hi, this is Michelle Wilson with the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership, and I'm here this morning on the Business Inspires podcast with Andy Schmidt of Schmidt's Restaurant and Catering. Hi, Andy. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Michelle.
So glad to have you. It's been a long time coming. We've worked together for a few years, and quite a few years, actually, and so glad to get you on this program with us this morning. So we started this podcast earlier this year to really just create a closer relationship with between our listeners and the businesses that are in the Tri-Village area. People know who you are, and of course, Schmidt's is in German Village, but you're a longtime Tri-Village resident. Is that correct?
Yes, I've grew up in Upper Arlington and moved away for college and went to Dublin for about a year or two and came back home and have been in the same house 32 years.
My goodness. So did you graduate from Dublin or from Upper Arlington?
I graduated from Upper Arlington in 1974.
Great. That was just a blink ago.
Just a blink ago.
So we typically start this podcast out asking, what did you want to be when you were a child? What did you want to do when you grew up? But I have a feeling your story might be a little bit different than most of our listeners. You might have known what you were going to do. Or is that not the case?
Well, I tell you, I had a heart to play football for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
But it's funny how as you get a little bit older, those things change. And so I went off to college on a football scholarship and got hurt and decided that the family business was calling my name. So
gotcha.
I quit college and came back at 19 and started working in my dad's restaurant.
My goodness. And I was reading online preparing for this interview today that it started back, the Schmidt's businesses started back in the 1800s, and that you were one of the first businesses to have a food establishment at the Ohio State Fair, which is, of course, going on as we speak.
Yes.
So, and you're the first or second longest running food vendor at the Ohio State Fair. Is that correct?
We are number one now. We've been at the fair. This is our 103rd year.
My goodness.
My grandfather started, we started in the meat packing business back in 1886. And to promote our meats, Grandpa went and started a kiosk at the Ohio State Fair.
Okay.
And we've been there ever since. In fact, as kids, we used to hide in the back of the station wagon so we could go work.
But he's using air quotes, folks.
Yes.
Around the work. Oh, gosh.
Great fun.
Yes, I think that's just, it's got to be such had to be a tremendous childhood growing up around that and seeing where it is today and just the longevity and, the amazing business vision that your grandfather had.
Yes.
And seeing it still thriving so strong.
We're still a small family business.
That's very hard to believe, but I do believe it. I just think that I've seen you on the Food Network and, many other programs and read lots of articles, and I think that's really telling of what his vision was so many years ago. So
yes,
that's fantastic. You wanted to be a football player, and here you are in the family business. But what would be the best advice that you would give somebody that's perhaps starting a business or toiling between two different things to do with their life? What would be advice? What would maybe some advice that somebody gave you along the way?
Well, I would say that if I had advice for somebody, I would say go into whatever you want to do, whether it's being a pastor at a church or being an owner of a business. Go at it wholeheartedly and understand that there's going to be ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and be ready for those valleys because they're going to come. We had definite challenges in the restaurant business. We had as many as 5 restaurants in Columbus, and now we're down to 1 and a couple food trucks.
Right.
So, and be ready and willing to kind of reinvent your business when the time comes to that you have to before you close your doors.
So having an open mind clearly is key.
An open mind and being able to take criticism is, I think, critical as well.
Yeah. And with social media these days, there's criticism. It comes a lot more simply and easily. But
social media is both the greatest thing I think that's ever happened to our society, but the scariest thing because it can put you out of business in a day.
So having a solid business vision and knowing exactly where you stand and what your values are a key to overcoming some of those negative criticisms and being able to keep your mind focused on that you're doing the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, it's a challenge every day. I think that's exactly right. You've got to have a focus and a vision beyond your business.
Right. Sure.
Your business can't run you. You need to run your business for sure.
That's great advice. So a few years ago, you ventured into the food truck business, and I think you were, Schmidt's was kind of right at the beginning of that big movement of the food truck movement. Is that fair to say that you were kind of at the beginning of that?
That's right.
Okay. And what made you take that leap within your business? Was that a reinvention?
Yes, it was, or maybe it was just a little step beyond what I thought where we were going. I mean, I had a business plan at the time of opening up some small footprint brick and mortar Schmidt's that had only 10 or 15 seats on college campuses, and I thought that was going to come to fruition. And then one night, I was looking listening to and seeing the Food Network. And on there, I saw the Great American Food Truck Race.
Gotcha.
And in my mind, I thought, we've been in the catering business for 100 years, the fairs and festival business for a long time. This might work. And I knew that it was going to be something that was going to stick around for a while because it's been around since the stagecoach days.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. But you don't really think of it as having such a long history because it's such a popular phenomena right now.
That's right. So I went out to California, to Los Angeles, and saw what they were doing. This is 5 years ago. Saw that what was happening in probably the busiest food truck city in America at the time, and came back and talked my partners, my brothers, into investing in our first food truck. Today, we're looking at a third one in August of this year.
Really? To be here local?
To be local.
Great.
The challenge is how do you scale the food truck business out beyond your home city, since it's such a business, a family type of business. It's you don't see many multiple food trucks in Columbus or elsewhere. There's very few.
And it seems as some of them have multiple locations. They've then just moved into brick and mortar, where you kind of did things in reverse of that.
We did things totally the opposite. And it's worked out great for us because we kind of call them restaurants on wheels or mobile billboards.
Oh, yeah.
Which help to promote the Schmidt's in German Village. So it's worked out very well for all of our segments of our business.
Good. And having been on the forefront of that movement, what major changes have you seen within just the food truck side of things since you started to where it is today? More competition, location challenges?
No, in fact, I see a lot more locations opening up and willing to bring food trucks onto their property. We go to 50 different corporate office complexes around Columbus, and 3 years ago we probably went to half that.
Wow.
So that's great. I also have seen the city work hand in hand with the Food Truck Association, which has been great. And Columbus is doing an awesome job when it comes to licensing the food trucks and making sure that they are being inspected well. And I think we've got an incredible, it's called COFTA, Central Ohio Food Truck Association, and they are really, really on top of helping schedule food trucks out in the Columbus area.
Good. Wonderful. And how do you choose locations as you're adding perhaps a third food truck this month? How do you narrow down the best places to be?
Great question. We're still trying to figure that out. But we have a logistics manager that does nothing but book our food trucks. And they, of course, the best future of a location is the past. And fortunately, we've been to many, many different types of areas like the corporate offices. We do a lot of street business. We pull up next to or in front of we do a lot of Ace Hardwares where they love having food trucks in their parking lot because it draws eyes to their store and brings cars to their parking lot. Been an overwhelming anticipation for Schmidt's and other food trucks. Sure. I know there's some awesome food trucks out there that I haven't eaten at yet that I hope to in the future.
There are a few good ones, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And to build on that question, there's a lot of festivals in Columbus, Ohio, and they happen so it's such a condensed period of time because there's only so many warm weekends in Columbus, so lots of festivals are going on. How do you make a determination of which ones are the place for you to be and have a presence?
It's a great question. We are very unique because Schmidt's has been going to fairs and festivals since the Ohio State Fair. So we have a whole division that just does fairs and festivals, and that my brother John runs that division. And it seems like, and John, I hope you're listening to this, it seems like we get the crumbs of what the Fairs and Festivals division gives us or allows us to have. So, but there are great amount of fairs and festivals out there and special events around Columbus, Ohio that you're seeing more and more food truck activity going on there. And we try to get to Schmidt's is at every fair and festival that
it seems they are.
From the festivals in Grandview all the way to our first festival out of the city was the Cincinnati Oktoberfest.
Oh.
We've been there 34 years, and the first year we were there, we sold out of cream puffs in the first 6 hours. That's how naive we were for out of city festivals.
Yeah.
We brought a 40-foot refrigerated truck the next year.
My goodness. Well, you live and learn, right?
You live and learn.
Yeah. And you were, when you had your first truck, you did the Taste of Grandview back in the day when that was still around. And that was one of the first events that you took the truck to. I remember that. So,
that's right.
Loved having your support there. And now you do the Dig Fest every year. And you guys there is a line beyond belief every year. You just have this amazing presence, and I think that's probably the case in every festival that you go to, that's probably like, tried and true. People know exactly what they're going to get, and it's great product, and I think it just speaks volumes for what Schmidt's is to this community.
Well, thank you.
Of course. I speak from the heart. I'm on Bahama Mama overload at the moment because we did a fundraiser for my son's soccer team, and that's what we buy every year. Is we buy the Bahama Mamas, and we spread the wealth and give those out as gifts each year. But what is the next up-and-coming generation of Schmidts in the restaurant who's going to carry on the legacy?
Well, my brothers and my sisters and I are fourth generation, and we have, at this point in time, 3 fifth-generation kids working in the business now. One is working in German Village Restaurant. The other is working up in our banquet facility above the restaurant in German Village. And we have Drew, who is starting to head up our fairs and festivals division.
Fantastic.
So we're starting to hand things over slowly.
Sure. You guys are still young.
We are still young.
That's right.
Trying to put together plans for the next generation is both exciting and challenging, for sure.
And how many employees does Schmidt's employ?
We have about 130 employees in 3 separate business parts of our company.
Okay. Is that catering?
That's catering and food trucks, and then, of course, the restaurant in German Village, and then our fairs and festival. Many of them are part-time because the majority of our outside work, of course, comes in the summertime.
Sure.
The food trucks, though, are out year-round, and thank goodness we have warm grills on each food truck because it gets cold out there.
Yeah, it does. It does. But it's nice that that in the winter there's still options for people in Central Ohio. You know, that's it's a tough place to be sometimes in the middle of winter and it's 20 below, and it's nice to have those options. And
it sure is. I've got 2 boys. One is in San Diego, and the other one is in Las Vegas, and it looks pretty good out there in the middle of January. That could be our next food truck.
Ooh, there you go. And you have the staff to start it out there.
I drive it out myself. Yes, a built-in staff, that's for sure.
So give me the locations that people can find Schmidt's, obviously the German Village location every single day of the week.
Yes.
You have a catering facility.
We do. We have. We manage one of the city golf courses, actually the largest city golf course, Raymond Memorial Golf Course, and it's out on Trabue Road on the near west side. It's going to be right next to the new Metro Park, which I understand is coming hopefully in 2018.
Yeah, the quarries.
At the quarries. Yes. Mm-hmm. So we're very much looking forward to that. With the restaurants on wheels, we're just all over the city. So we're in 7 suburbs in the evenings, from Clintonville to Worthington to Westerville. The best way to find out where our food trucks and fairs and festivals division is to go on to our website, and
which is
there's an update calendar there, which is schmidthaus.com.
You spell it.
That's Haus, the German Haus. Yes.
Okay, schmidthaus.com,
yeah.
And they can find exactly where to find that Bahama Mama and Cream Puff.
Bahama Mamas and Cream Puffs. Yes. In fact, this month is my favorite month for Cream Puffs. It's blueberry cream puffs.
Oh my goodness! I'm such a purist. I can only have the original. I know they're all good.
And of course, Jenny's now has a cream puff ice cream, which we were down there not too long ago, tasting that, and ooh, it's
so
pretty good.
I saw a very cute video with some undercover Schmidt's agents walking into a Jenny's and asking about that ice cream.
5th generation over there snooping around.
That was good. That was really smart. And I don't want to wrap this up without talking about the upcoming Oktoberfest, because that is presented by Schmidt's.
It certainly is. The Columbus Oktoberfest is normally the third weekend in September.
Great.
And it's held at the Ohio State Fairgrounds. We're back in kind of the wildlife area. If you are older than 40 years old, you may have fished back there and caught catfish.
Oh.
As a kid, I loved going back there, but it's a beautiful area. It has 3 large permanent, gosh, they look like wooden tents, but it's gorgeous and perfect for Oktoberfest, rain or shine.
Great. Well, it's a great event every year. So, and you guys have been involved in that for how many years?
Oh, heck. My dad helped start the Oktoberfest in Scheller Park back in 1967.
Wow.
And we've been involved ever since. The German Village Society was managing it for quite a few years, and they decided to hand it back off, and now we've got it in a place where I think it's going to be its home for a long time.
Good.
It's a wonderful area.
Good. Fantastic. Well, I look forward to that, as I do every year. But thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll be sure to send your brother John the link so he can hear your comments.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate that.
Thanks for subscribing, downloading, and listening to Business Inspires, a monthly podcast of the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership. Our innovative and active chamber is successful because of our smart and engaged members who cultivate our strong business community. With more than 60 years as an integral part of the Grandview, Upper Arlington, and Marble Cliff communities, the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership is dedicated to a single purpose: the success of the business community. You can find a link to our website in the podcast notes to learn more about the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership. For information about this podcast, to schedule a guest appearance, or to find out more about sponsoring this podcast, our contact information is in the podcast notes. Make sure you rate and review our podcast on iTunes. That helps us spread the word about Business Inspires.
Circle270media.com